Provision for Builders Work tool is a way of automatically producing your Builders Work hole for your MEP objects within your model. You can set the criteria of your offsets from your MEP objects from above and around for each vent, pipe and elec, and even set criteria of minimum sizes that you want to create. So if I run the tool with automatic, you get to choose your view and then what you want to provide your provision for builders work for, whether it's electrical conduit or vent against walls, against structural walls. And you run the tool and what you'll get is this report where you can interrogate each of the provisions that are going to be created, and you can choose to skip that once you've previewed it. So you can show each one and review before you actually create these, and if you press OK, the tool will go ahead and create the provisions that you wish. And as you can see on screen now, it's producing it within each view. And as you can see, if I click on the provision, you'll see that we've got square, circular, combined provisions for adjacent services. So it's not created two provisions, it's just created one for the provision. I can also update these provisions as I go along in the project. So if I move this duct, for example, I can then rerun the tool and then it will pick up all the changes that have been made as a consequence of moving that duct. And again, I get the opportunity to preview the updated and see which provisions are being updated, whether the provisions are being deleted, and then I get to choose whether I want to create them provisions once I've reviewed them. And once you press OK, you'll see that it's updated the provision to that duct. We also have this free add-in, which is Manage Openings, which will take all the data from the model and bring forward the provisions within a report that can be viewed by third-party companies, such as architects, where you can preview each one of these provisions, and it's bi-directional, so you can get it within the model and this report. And then what you can do is save your MEP model and send this to the architect. We also have a timestamp on when the builder's work has been created. So now if I go onto the architectural model and insert our MEP model, and we'll show you how this Manage Openings works. So again, this can be downloaded free from the Autodesk store. And you get all the same functions as we have in the consultancy model, and you can put comments on there, and then you can match the IDs up. So if I just run this tool again, I can actually then create the openings from this, so the architect doesn't have to go into each one and create them themselves. All within this report, you can select, make comments, and then create the openings from here and have all the interrogation functions that the MEP side has. And you'll see here, once you've selected all the accepted, you can go ahead and create the openings. And then this architectural model will be sent back with the holes cut out. The clash checking tool is an easy way of preventing clashes within your model and preventing a long list when you get to complete your model. On here we've got a real-time clash detection, so it's live clashes, and you can select what you want to clash with and against, and then you can also set your clearance zones for hard and soft clashes. And then once that is run, it will produce the red and yellow legend on the drawing here, as you can see, for your clearance zones and your hard clashes in red. And as I said, this is a live clash detection, so you can turn this on and have the clashes come up as you are actually modelling, as shown on screen here. We've got a clearance clash there and a hard clash running through that duct. And if I select this duct and just move this away from the wall, you'll see that the clearance zone will be removed. As well as a live clash detection, we also have a clash report, which also uses the BCF manager, which the BCF manager is BIM collaboration forum. So what you can do here is comment on each of the clashes through this forum, where people can all comment and have the same information, but it's also linked to the model, where we can again interrogate each clash or soft clash within the model. We can create a 3D view from that using our 3D section box within MagiCAD, and as you can see, zoom to any of the clashes within the model. You can also isolate them clashes by using the view template, and then you can also create a snapshot of that, and then you can take that into Paint and put any annotations on there, arrows or text, just anything that you can use in Paint. Save that, and then it will come as a screenshot within this topic here, and you can also comment on each one of these topics, so anybody can come in here and have a conversation and have all the corresponding comments. You can also PDF this, as you can see on screen now, and it will list all the comments per issue. The clearance analysis tool is another tool for coordinating your model. Again, you can choose your parameters that you want to clash with and against. And what we are determining here is we are determining the height of each service within a model. You can set out your levels of your floors and a legend for each height that you want to be notified about. Again, we've got the systems that you can turn on and off. And once you press OK, we can run the clearance analysis for a room, and here we can set our parameters again for which view we want to select. And what's happening here now is it's running the tool and determining the height of the lowest MEP service within each of the model, and you'll see there's the color coded levels, and you'll also get on the space tag, you will get the minimum height of the lowest service, and again you'll get a report of this that you can jump to each. As you can see, each service on that report, and it's highlighted in purple because it's below the recommended height, and I can adjust this and update the report as I see fit. Again, this is live, so if I start to draw a duct and put this lower and draw this in, you'll see that it will automatically change the legend and turn these offices red and adjust the height of the lowest object in there to 1500. The next tool is a more detailed zoned in view, and it will actually colour the service, and again you'll get the legend, and then each service will be coloured with the corresponding height. This next tool is the Clean Up and Deliver tool. This is used for when you're issuing your model, when you've completed your model, and you may be issuing this out every Friday or every 2 Fridays or whatever date. This will help you strip out any information that you want to take from the model without going into each individual object and deleting it, or each view and getting rid of it, so you don't want to send your intellectual property rights out. So as you can see, we've got our full template here with all our views in and associated view templates, and we've also got the model with all the services in. And if I click on this grill, for example, and go to the properties, this grill has a manufacturer and a product code and a type and the version ID. So what we want to do is, if we want to send this out and get rid of the manufacturer's details or any part that shows that, so I'll just close that, and then I will click on the clean up and deliver tool. It'll ask if I want to save the changes. This is because it will close the model. And then what we have here is our selection. So you have a general section here where if you want to preserve your work sets or discard them. And then we've got our save and open options from Revit, like delete revisions or compact the file, so on and so on. Then we've got our manufacturer's details here. So if you can filter out what you don't want to export out, the relevant Revit categories here. Then you also have remove manufacturer's data, rename the family names and type name, and the manufacturer's name, remove all manufacturer's names from content. So what it'll do is it will rename the families type 1, type 2, or a user code as 001, and then remove any links and any Schneider electrical PD data, which is if you're using our electrical calculations tool. And then you can export any links. So when you get the cannot find these links when you open up the model because they're all missing, you can actually choose to whether you want to export that or keep that within your issue. If it's on the left, it's going to ignore that. Anything on the right, it's going to export it for issue. So we have that on there. If you add a few more links, you can filter them. We've also got our sheets and views, where we can push any views that we want to issue on the right hand side here. And again, you have got your filter that you can select, and it has color coded, and you can also filter through text like so. And then you also have one for schedules and legends down here. So if it's on the left, it's going to get rid of it, and if it's on the right, it will export it with the issue. So for this, any of these selections that you can do, you can then save as with these. So you can file and save them selections, so everybody is available to issue what needs to issue on the issue date. You've got a target file, that's where it's going to be saved, so that'll be your issue folder. And then the source file is the actual file that you're in. And once you export that, it will just get rid of all that information. So this now is our finished results. And as you'll see, if I click onto this grill and go into the properties again and go into edit type, you'll see that the product code is gone, the manufacturer is gone, and the description as well. And it's removed all manufacturer's data in there and just give it a user code as SG01. Next tool will be the IFC Export. So this is for exporting your IFC for using as a universal format. Revit does have one of these itself, but with the MagiCAD you get a bit more flexibility in what you're actually exporting out. So for example, we have these property set managers. For example, where you can set up what parameters or any Revit parameters you can map to IFC parameters, as you can see. And you will get your selected properties down here with the description, the IFC properties, and the source. So the text is from the description. And then down here you have available properties, where for example within the UK, when you are doing COBE data, you can use a shared COBE data file and add in any of these properties for that. So you can then export to Navisworks or Celebri or whatever software that you use. And then you can group these properties up in here and then create configurations for each individual set of parameters that you've mapped to Revit parameters. And then from there you can then export your IFC using them configurations, and you get other information or create a new file and your range that you want to select, and even levels. Spreadsheet Import Export tool is a tool that you can use to export parameters from your Revit model into Excel to use the benefits and ease of using Excel. So as you can see here, we're just using the available categories, spaces in this case, and pulling out the parameters that we want to export to Excel so we can populate them within Excel. So when exported, you'll see here that it's been produced within Excel. So from now we can use all the benefits of using Excel, such as copying, using formulas, and the ease of if engineers are not too experienced within Revit, they can actually fill in the data within Excel and give this back to a Revit technician or an engineer that is proficient in Revit and push that information back in. So you can see here we're just setting up a calculation and then using the drag down box to populate each one of them with that equation. And now what we'll do is we'll save this and then close it, and then we'll push that information back into Revit using this tool. And what we can do is just find that saved Excel spreadsheet, push it back in, you will get a report to show what's changed in red, and then it will stay in blue if it's not changed. And then you can accept these changes, and then using the analyst tool you can colour each one of these models. Great for block colour drawings. And we've got a little legend there as well to identify each one of these rooms. The Run Index tool is a way of populating a parameter within each object to create a running index, which is a reference. So as you can see here, we can choose between the group and format. So the group and format is what we're actually giving a run index for. So in this case it's grills, and as you can see I can go along here and each corresponding grill is adding a reference on there, 1 to 8 in this case. I'm just going to leave this number 8 at the minute. And then if I go to the run index tool and manage running indexes, we can actually bring up each one of these references using these groups and the grills. As you can see here, we've got the extract grills 1 to 7 that we've just labelled, and because these 8 extract grills in there, it's detected that there is 8, but we've only provided a run index for 7. And you can filter these by space, level, system, and system type. So if we have multiple of these on multiple floors, we can differentiate between the whole lot. But what I can do now is I can select all these instances, and you'll see I've got 8, and what I can do now is press this set, and what it'll do is populate that last one. So I can re-reference my numbers at any point. And this will also work if a grill is deleted or a reference is deleted. Next tool I'm going to go through is the merge parameters tool. So this is a tool where you can merge up to 5 parameters into one. So these could be already populated. For example, if I've got a grill here and I go down here, I've got some parameters here for client zone FM code, and then I've also got the format and the number. So some clients may ask you to merge all these into one, and then you can export it to Excel. But what we have here is we can push these 4 or 5 parameters into one, and then we can schedule them out a bit better. So what I can do is, if I come off that and go to merge parameters and parameter configurations, so you can configure these parameters so you can use them as and when. So for example, I've created this client reference, and you'll see up here I'll need a spare parameter. So with MagiCAD you do get these spare parameters within objects. So we've got our MC object ID, and then we've got a group of parameters here, which I've gone into here and pushed across from air terminals, and then you get your available parameters. So as you can see here, I've got this Magi OV1, OV2, 3, and then I've got the running indexes that we created earlier, and then this is a preview of what it's going to have. And then we've got our constants that we can add by using these here. You can move these up and down using the arrows. You can see there. And once you press save on these, they'll be available for use. And then once you've done that, you'll see that this grill here has the empty MC object ID. And then if I go back to merge parameters, I can go on merge, and then you'll get a menu to select what you want to merge. So I'm just going to do it for this current view, and then select the configuration that I've just created, and then press update. And now you'll see here this MC object ID has put the client, the zone, FM code, and then the reference for the supply grill. So if you've got a few parameters there, such as Kobe data as well, and you need it all in one parameter, but you don't want to go for filling out that in every grill, what you can do is use this merge parameters and push them into one. The next tool I want to show you is the find and replace. So what this is, just like on Word or Excel, where you want to find a word and replace it with another, with this you can find objects and replace them. So if I click on this tool now, it'll read the project, it'll give me a list of what's in the project. So you'll see here the air terminals, we've got extract devices, outdoor exhaust, and supply air devices. But what I want us to do is, for example, swap this air terminal. We do have vent pipe and elec as well for the same. But what I want to choose, if you hover over it, you'll get the preview. So I want to swap this grill out for another. So I'll click on it there. And then on the right hand side where it says replace, you'll be able to find what you can replace it with, what's in the project. So if you've already got it in the project, it will give you a list of what's already exists. But if you want to replace it with something within the data set that's not in the project, you've got a tab here to find the one that you want to replace it with. So for example, I'm going to select this grill, and again it will give you a preview, so I'm going to just swap like for like. Press OK on that and then press apply. So what it's done here is it's replaced them, and it said that the replacement is complete, but it cannot keep the element position in some cases. That's because it will try and match the spigot with the existing spigot, whereas in this case with this plenum it's a little bit higher, and you'll see here that the flex on it has moved there. If there is no flex on there, it will maintain that position and break off from the pipework. It won't move your pipework. So it is quite clever. If you've got a flex on there, it will move that, and it will give you any warnings that might have happened, and then you can click close if you've finished, and you'll see here that it has changed each grill of the find and replace. The legend tool is a tool for creating legends automatically on what's based within the model that you produced. So we have templates set up within the dataset that we can choose between. In this case we're doing a lighting legend where we can set up all the parameters, which we're doing in this case, and as you can see, this is the sort of legend that is produced just automatically based upon the objects that are within the Revit model. The Sheet Manager is a tool where you can create sheets for your model and produce a number of sheets at a time, and make a template where you can put the plan view, any 3D views, any text notes or any legends and schedules in the correct position, and you set up a template, and then you can see on screen here you go to the template that you've set up, and it will bring in any parameters from the title block that you can type in easy within this spreadsheet format. You can take any of these parameters away. So as you can see, I can set up MO1 and MO2 straight away, and then copy over parameters if they're duplicated on each sheet. So we can do it all within this report, and you'll see we'll have 1192 in there, naming conventions, And what I can go ahead and do now is put the ground floor in as I've got the basement, and then I can start filling in the rest of the parameters within this spreadsheet format. I can also then select each view to add to each one. You'll see I've got the basement and the ground floor ventilation there, and then I can put a 3D view on there, abbreviations and a duct schedule. I can also add another sheet on here and name this the first floor and do this so on and so on. And then once I fill in my data and then select the first floor floor plan and the 3D view and then the duct schedule and press OK, and then within my sheet families I will have produced the 3 sheets here. As you can see, I've got MO2 and MO3 that have just been produced, and the layouts and views will be all in the same position as each other.